Close your eyes for a moment. Think about the last time you had to choose between what everyone wanted for you and what your heart was whispering. This is Kathia's story, a young woman who grew up believing that good girls follow the path others lay out for them. She went to church every Sunday, helped her mother cook dinner, and never talked back to her father. She was the daughter every parent dreams of having. But sometimes even the best daughters have to learn that the most important person they need to be true to is themselves. Before we dive into Kathia's journey, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more real love stories like this one. Picture a university classroom on a rainy Monday morning. Students rushing in, shaking water from their umbrellas, complaining about the weather. That's where Kathia first noticed Joel. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room. He wasn't the most handsome either. But when their professor asked a difficult question, Joel was the one who raised his hand and gave an answer that made everyone think, not to show off, just because he cared about getting it right. Kathia was studying communications. Joel was in software development. They probably would never have spoken if it wasn't for that group project their professors assigned. "I guess we're working together," Joel said, with a shy smile when their names were called for the same team. Kathia just nodded. She was nervous around boys back then. Her parents had always told her to focus on her studies first, relationships later. But working with Joel felt easy. When she forgot her notebook, he shared his. When he struggled to organize their presentation, she helped him make it flow better. They made a good team without even trying. Their friendship grew slowly, like a plant that gets just enough water and sunlight each day. Joel would save her a seat in their Monday morning class. Kathia would bring an extra cup of tea and quietly place it on his desk. They never made a big deal about these small kindnesses. They just cared. Other students started to notice. "You two are always together," their friend Sarah would tease. "When are you going to start dating?" Kathia would blush and look away. Joel would just laugh and change the subject. But late at night, when Kathia was alone in her room, she would replay their conversations and feel something warm spreading in her chest. Was this what people meant when they talked about butterflies? They would sit in the university garden between classes, sharing stories about their families. Joel told her about his mother, who worked hard to put him through school, how she would wake up at 5 a.m. to prepare breakfast for the family before going to her job, how she never complained, never made him feel guilty about the sacrifice. "I want to take care of her someday," Joel said, his voice soft with emotion. "She's given up so much for me." Kathia's heart ached in the best way when she heard the love in his voice. This was a man who understood what it meant to honor your family. She told him about her own family. Her father, who worked long hours as a teacher, but always made time to help her with homework. Her mother, who sang while she cooked and taught Kathia that a home should be filled with joy, not just food. "They trust me," Kathia said one afternoon, watching clouds move across the sky. "Sometimes I feel like I'm carrying all their hopes and dreams." Joel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "That must be heavy sometimes." No one had ever understood that before. The weight of being the good daughter. The pressure of never wanting to disappoint people who loved you so much. As their final year came to an end, reality started creeping in. Joel had been applying for jobs in different cities. The tech industry was growing, but most opportunities were far from their small university town. Kathia planned to stay home for a while. Her younger brother was still in high school, and her parents needed help with his school fees. Family came first. It always had. They never talked about what would happen after graduation. Maybe they were both too scared to name what they were feeling. The last day of university arrived like a thief in the night. Sudden, final. Joel found Kathia sitting alone in their favorite spot in the garden. She was holding her graduation cap, running her fingers along the edge. "I got the job," he said quietly, sitting down next to her. "Congratulations." She meant it, even though her heart was breaking a little. "It's in Kampala. I start next month." They sat in silence, watching other students take photos with their families, everyone laughing and celebrating. "Kathia," Joel started, then stopped. "What?" I'm going to miss our conversations." She looked at him then, really looked at him. His kind eyes, the way he listened when she talked, the way he made her feel like her thoughts mattered. "I'll miss them too," she whispered. They promised to stay in touch, and they did for a while. Joel would send her messages about his new job, how different city life was, how he missed the quiet of their small town. Kathia would tell him about her part-time job at a local radio station, how she was saving money for her brother's education, how their old classmates were doing. Their phone calls became the highlight of her week. Every Sunday evening at 8 p.m., her phone would ring, and she would hear his familiar voice saying, "How was your week?" Sometimes they would talk for hours, about work, about family, about dreams they were afraid to say out loud. Joel told her he was learning so much at his job, but the city felt lonely. Kathia told him she loved working in radio, but wondered if she was playing it too safe by staying home. "There's nothing wrong with taking care of your family," Joel would say. "That's who you are, Kathia. It's one of the things I admire about you." The pause before admire always made her heart skip. 2 years passed like pages turning in a book you don't want to end. Kathia settled into a routine. Work at the radio station during the day, helping her mother with cooking in the evening, church on Sundays. It was a good life, a peaceful life. But her parents were starting to have conversations she wasn't ready for. "You're 25 now," her mother said one evening as they were washing dishes together. "Mrs. Mukasa's son Tendo has been asking about you." Kathia's hand stilled on the plate she was drying. Tendo. She knew who he was. Their families had been friends for years. He was 2 years older, had a good job at the bank, drove a nice car. When she was younger, the adults used to joke that she and Tendo would make a perfect match someday. "He's a good man," her father added from his chair in the living room. "Responsible. From a good family. He could provide well for you." Kathia felt something twist in her stomach. Not butterflies this time, something heavier. "I'm not ready to think about marriage yet," she said carefully. Her parents exchanged a look. "Sweetheart," her mother said gently, "you can't wait forever. Tendo won't wait forever either." That night, Kathia lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She thought about Tendo. He was everything her parents said. Responsible, stable, from a good family. He would make a good husband for someone. But when she tried to imagine herself married to him, all she could see was Joel's face. Joel, who was living his life 200 miles away. Joel, who called her every Sunday but never talked about coming back. Joel, who had never even told her how he really felt about her. Was she being foolish? Holding on to something that might not even be real? The next morning, she almost didn't answer when her phone rang at 8 a.m. It was Joel, calling earlier than usual. "I'm coming home next weekend," he said, and something in his voice made her sit up straighter. "There's something I need to tell you. Can we meet?" Her heart started beating so fast she thought he might hear it through the phone. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, we can meet." That week felt like the longest of Kathia's life. She replayed every conversation they'd ever had, looking for clues about what he wanted to tell her. Had he met someone in the city? Was he getting engaged? The thought made her feel sick. Or maybe he felt the same way she did. Maybe he had been thinking about her the way she thought about him. Saturday afternoon came. They agreed to meet at the small cafe near the old university. Kathia changed her clothes 3 times before leaving the house. She saw him before he saw her. He was sitting at a corner table, nervously tapping his fingers on the wooden surface. He looked older somehow, more mature. The city had changed him. When he looked up and saw her, his whole face lit up with the most beautiful smile. "Kathia." He stood up, and for a moment, she thought he was going to hug her, but he just stood there, drinking her in with his eyes. "Hi, Joel." They sat down, and suddenly all the easy conversation they used to have felt impossible. The air between them was thick with things unsaid. "How's work?" she asked, just to fill the silence. "Good, really good. I got promoted last month." He paused. "But I'm not here to talk about work." Her heart stopped. Joel reached across the table and gently took her hand. His palm was warm, slightly rough from working with computers all day. "Kathia, I need to tell you something I should have said 2 years ago." She couldn't breathe. "Every Sunday when we talk, every time I see a couple walking down the street, every time someone asks me if I'm seeing anyone, all I think about is you." Tears started forming in her eyes. "I think about our conversations in the university garden. I think about the way you laugh at my terrible jokes. I think about how you always see the good in people, even when they don't deserve it." He squeezed her hand gently. "I love you, Kathia. I've loved you since our final year, but I was too scared to say it, too scared that I had nothing to offer you back then." The tears were flowing freely now. "I have a good job now. I've been saving money. I know I live far away, but I want to try. I want to build something real with you, if you'll have me." Kathia looked at this man who had been her friend, her confidant, the voice that got her through difficult weeks. This man who knew her dreams and fears and still chose to love her. But she also thought about her parents, about Tendo, about the expectations that had been placed on her shoulders since she was a child. "Joel, she started, then stopped. "You don't have to answer now," he said quickly. "I know this is a lot. I know your family has expectations. I just needed you to know how I feel." The next 2 weeks were the hardest of Kathia's life. Joel went back to the city, but his words stayed with her. "I love you." 3 words that changed everything. Her parents continued their gentle pressure about Tendo. He had apparently expressed formal interest in marriage. His parents had spoken to her parents. Everyone thought it was a wonderful match. "He's here, Kathia," her mother said one evening. "He's present. He's ready to build a life with you." And he was. Tendo was everything on paper that a woman should want. Security, stability, a future that made sense to everyone around her. But when Kathia closed her eyes, she saw Joel's face when he said he loved her. She remembered the warmth of his hand holding hers. She thought about their Sunday phone calls and how hearing his voice was the best part of her week. Love wasn't supposed to be practical, was it? Love was supposed to be love. On a Sunday evening, exactly 2 weeks after Joel's confession, Kathia made a decision that would change her life forever. She called a family meeting, Her parents sat on the couch, her younger brother curled up in the armchair with his homework. This was her family. These were the people who loved her most in the world. "Mama? Papa?" she began, her voice shaking slightly. "I need to tell you something." They looked at her with concern. "I know you want what's best for me. I know Tendo is a good man who would take care of me, but I can't marry him." Her father sat forward. "Kathia, what are you saying?" "There's someone else, someone I've loved for a long time, but I was too afraid to admit it." She told them about Joel, about their friendship in university, about the phone calls, about his confession 2 weeks ago. "He lives in Kampala, sweetheart," her mother said gently. "How would that work?" "I don't know," Kathia admitted, "but I know that I can't promise my life to one man while my heart belongs to another. That wouldn't be fair to Tendo. It wouldn't be fair to me." Her father was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "Love is important, daughter, but love alone doesn't pay bills or raise children." "I know that, Papa, but Joel is responsible. He has a good job. He's not asking me to run away with him tomorrow. He wants to do this right." The conversation went on for hours. There were tears. There were difficult questions. There were moments when Kathia wondered if she was making the biggest mistake of her life. But by the end of the night, something had shifted. Her parents saw how much this meant to her. They saw that she wasn't being impulsive or rebellious. She was being honest about what her heart needed. "Bring him home," her father said finally. "Let us meet this young man who has captured our daughter's heart." Kathia called Joel that night, her hands shaking as she dialed his number. "Hello?" His voice sounded tired. "Joel, it's me." "Kathia, how are you? You sound different." She took a deep breath. "I love you too." The silence on the other end of the phone was so long she thought the call had dropped. "Joel, are you there?" "I'm here," he whispered, and she could hear the emotion in his voice. "Did you just say, 'I love you too'? I've loved you for years, but I was too scared to admit it, too scared of disappointing everyone. And now I'm more scared of disappointing myself." Joel came home the following weekend. This time, he didn't just meet Kathia at a cafe. He came to her family's house, flowers in hand, ready to meet the people who mattered most to her. Kathia watched nervously as her father shook Joel's hand at the front door. Her mother invited him in for tea and asked him 100 questions about his job, his family, his intentions with their daughter. Joel answered every question honestly. He talked about his mother's sacrifices, his own dreams for the future, his love for Kathia, and his desire to build something lasting with her. "How do we know you won't break our daughter's heart?" her father asked directly. Joel looked at Kathia, then back at her father. "Sir, I can't promise that we'll never face difficult times, but I can promise that I will fight for this relationship every single day. I will love her, respect her, and honor the values you've taught her." By the end of the evening, even Kathia's skeptical father was smiling. Joel and Kathia didn't rush into anything. They knew they had something precious, and precious things need to be handled with care. Joel would visit every few weeks. Kathia would sometimes take the bus to Kampala to see his life there. They talked about everything: money, children, where they would live, how they would balance their careers and their families. They went to counseling with their pastor. They saved money together. They prayed together over video calls when they were apart. Joel introduced Kathia to his mother, who cried when she met the woman her son loved so much. "You make him happy," she told Kathia. "I can see it in his eyes." 8 months after that life-changing conversation in the cafe, Joel proposed. He didn't do it at a fancy restaurant or in front of a crowd. He did it during one of their walks around Kathia's neighborhood, at the spot where they used to sit and talk during university. "Kathia," he said, stopping under the old mango tree where they'd shared so many conversations, "I don't have a speech prepared. I don't have a perfect plan, but I have a heart that's completely yours, and a promise that I want to spend the rest of my life learning how to love you better." He got down on one knee and pulled out a simple ring, not the biggest diamond, but chosen with care and saved for with dedication. "Will you marry me?" Through happy tears, Kathia said the easiest yes of her life. Their wedding was everything they wanted it to be. Simple, but beautiful. Intimate, but joyful. Kathia's father walked her down the aisle with tears in his eyes. Joel's mother sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Even Tendo came to the wedding with his own new girlfriend, wishing them both happiness. As they exchanged vows, Kathia thought about the journey that brought them to this moment, the fears she had to face, the expectations she had to navigate, the courage it took to follow her heart. "I promise to love you in the ordinary moments and the extraordinary ones," Joel said, his voice strong and clear. "I promise to be your friend, your partner, and your biggest supporter for all the days of our lives." When Kathia spoke her vows, her voice was steady despite her tears. "I promise to trust in the love we've built together. I promise to choose you every day, in every season, for as long as we both live." When they kissed, sealing their marriage, the whole room erupted in celebration. Today, 3 years later, Joel and Kathia live a life that looks different from what anyone expected, but feels exactly right. Joel took a job that lets him work partly from their hometown, so they could be close to both their families. Kathia started her own small communications business, helping local organizations tell their stories. They don't have the biggest house or the fanciest car, but they have something more valuable, a love built on friendship, tested by time and strengthened by the courage to choose each other despite the odds. Every Sunday evening, they still have their long conversations, not over the phone anymore, but curled up together on their small couch, talking about their dreams, their fears, their hopes for the future. Kathia's parents often comment on how happy she looks. "We were wrong to push so hard," her mother admitted recently. "We thought we knew what was best for you, but you knew what was best for your heart." If you're listening to this story and you're facing your own choice between expectation and truth, between what others want for you and what your heart is whispering, remember Kathia's courage. Sometimes the right choice isn't the obvious choice. Sometimes the safe path isn't the one that leads to joy. Sometimes you have to disappoint some people in order to be true to yourself. Love isn't always convenient. It doesn't always make sense on paper. But when it's real, when it's built on friendship, respect, and genuine care for each other, it's worth fighting for. Kathia didn't choose the easy path. She chose the true path. And in the end, that made all the difference. Thank you for joining us for this story of love, courage, and following your heart. If Kathia and Joel's journey touched you, please let us know in the comments below. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more real love stories that remind us all why the heart knows what it knows. Until next time, remember, your heart is wiser than you think. Trust it.